And I think where we are going to pick up here is the next morning. Um, let's actually throw Debbie right back in with the party. As you all wake up that next morning, I feel like was it Raymond who was hearing Sinmorn and Escher kind of outside, and you were like, like knocking on the door to like kind of give them that warning,
Oh, you
Yeah,
stole some
stepping on
pants.
my ass.
and then you got their pants. All right. So effectively, like the wake up call was them noticing that Sinmorn and Escher were still doing the nasty, basically inside of the library. Upon kind of notifying them, like, "Hey, get your act together. We're about to walk in on you." They basically hopped out onto the. Oh wait, no, Escher kind of floated her up, and they basically flew out onto the roofs, where their pants were promptly stolen. So they are pants optional for the rest of the day until they do see you. Um, and you all kind of just passed by. But at present, we're kind of just going to go forward with the four of you walking in that hall. And as Ali starts to go for the stairs here, you're going to feel as the carpet kind of tugs at your foot. And as it reaches up, it is going to um, pull Ali in. And I need everybody to roll initiative as this carpet tries to consume Ali. Does Debbie have advantage on initiative yet? Or is that, I think that's maybe at level 5, but I just want to make sure.
I don't think so.
All right, word. It's got to be a little bit later. Okay. So we are going to go for that. I have to roll. Oh, one of the things before we actually do jump into this, Rodney had brought up that he got some dice for his birthday. I know Theo at one point wanted to roll her own dice. One of the things in general, I don't want to tell people not to roll dice, but I do want to throw it out there. If people want to roll dice, we can kind of like actually like figure out a way to do it, whether it's streaming the actual dice rolls or just going ahead with it and absolutely not worrying about it. In general, I like to make everybody do the dice rollers because it's one kind of simple and everybody's on that same level of we're all doing it anyways. Um, but I can't lie and say that I don't roll my dice when I'm not rolling them for you all to see. So I kind of do want to put it out there for everybody to think about. At very least, maybe we'll decide something for the new year, and I'll have you not roll today, Rodney, if that sounds good.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I mean, to me, I got into these games because I'm a dice roller. I love rolling dice. From Warhammer 40K, where it's like picking up 100 dice. Um, I'm a big fan. So, dude, what the fuck? Debbie.
Actually, if you look at if you look at what's it called? Discord, I set up a camera so I can actually roll dice with everything.
You do legitimately have it set up.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's just like an example. I wanted to kind of show everybody if they did want to stream dice, this might be one way that we could do it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's perfect. Um, I have to laugh at the fact that I randomly clicked Debbie's initiative to see if she had the advantage, and then I rolled the initiative for the carpet, and that is straight up the exact initiative that the carpet has. Is what I rolled for her. Then I just rolled the same dice twice.
How do you get a floating point value?
The floater is basically a tiebreaker. When it says 5.14, it's telling me your dexterity. The 0.14 means it has 14 dexterity. That tells me that with the 4 is a +2, because it's basically subtract 10 and then divide by 2 to get your modifiers. So, like, I know looking at Hector that he has a +4. It means that he has an 18 or a 19 dexterity. Same for Ali. And Debbie has, a 14 or a 15. But if you actually do the floater, it'll basically say for Debbie like 8.14 or 8.15. And then, Raymond is 12.10 or 12.11. But it's just under the actual little red die for Beyond 20. You can set it to do tiebreakers.
Cool.
One of those things, it's not like necessarily worth telling people to do, but it definitely does save little bits of time because often if you roll the exact same numbers, I will ask for that tiebreaker. But who am I skipping right now? What is it? Ali, Debbie, Hector's not on there. But it's going to start off here with Raymond. As you see this carpet kind of reaching out to grab at Ali, what would Raymond Noodles like to do?
So I'm gonna pull out my mace and try and pin this thing to the ground and see if it'll stop moving around. So as I draw my mace, I swing at it and try and pin.
Are you actually
uh,
going to try to grapple it? Is that what you mean? Or are you just trying to swing at it?
like with the mace, swing at it like downwards and see if I can hold it down. Like
Well,
maybe.
like a grapple action is an attack action that you go to grapple it, and it's contested strength or dex. But an attack is an attack. Do you
Okay.
want to do damage?
Yeah, I want to do damage.
Gotcha. Roll your attack.
Okay.
So yeah, you are able to get a solid strike into this carpet as it's kind of raising itself up. Are you trying to move basically around to behind Ali? Is that where you're going to swing from here?
Yeah, trying to get the thing off of Ali. Probably catch it on like its hind back here.
Gotcha. So you can move yourself there. Would you like to do anything as a bonus action, or do you have any other interest in moving away?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a step back here. That'll be it.
As you step back, the carpet is going to kind of whirl another corner out to try to grab for you. I believe a 12 is going to miss as it kind of clinches down. It's just too weak of a grip and kind of slides right off of your armor, off of the pauldron, and will fail to grasp you. And it should go to Hector.
Okay. Hector draws one short sword and goes to attack.
Solid hit.
And then you said grappling was under what skill would that be under?
Oh, grapple is an attack action. You're already rolling to attack with your weapon here. Like you
Okay,
have to like say that you want to grapple like right off of the bat, basically.
that's fine. I was fine attacking. That was my first priority. Um, I don't
If you click
Unless
the pink, it'll roll the damage there. Excellent. Solid cut into it as you slash through. Anything else that you would like to do here?
can I attack again, or is this such a surprise? I guess I don't really think I have time to pull two weapons in such a surprise.
Basically, until you take, there is a particular feat that allows you to draw two weapons as the same action. You are limited unless you're walking around with your weapons out. You're limited to what you can draw in a turn.
Okay, I will step back to where Raymond is. That's it.
Gotcha. And then what do you have in mind, Ali? What would you like to do?
You said grappling strength based, right?
Yep, if you are trying to grapple it, it is a strength check versus either its strength or its dexterity.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'll go ahead and attack it with a short sword. So, Ollie draws his short sword, and kind of jumps back and forth, kind of trying to nail out where exactly the position of this rug is because it just moves so freely, and then just strikes down as fast as I can, coming down on the carpet, trying to slice it in half. And I'll go ahead and throw in a favored foe into that one. So I'll roll an extra d4.
Yes, the favorite foe of all rangers, carpet.
Yeah, right. It's one that I can recall from Zahara.
Any other moving before it will go to Debbie?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and use my second bonus attack of attacking again with my short sword. So, as I come down, I
Wait,
catch
wait.
the...
You can't have two short swords out right now. It's the same thing. Like, if you want to draw both weapons, you need to have the actual feat that allows you. I think it's not two weapon fighting. That's the one you get for free. But there's a particular feat that you have to specialize yourself into.
Is it... no, I have two weapon fighting, it looks like.
Yep, that's when you have two light weapons out. You can make a bonus action. Everybody gets that. But you have to take a feat to be able to draw both weapons with the same free action.
Got ya. Cool.
But that's one of those reasons why I want you all to recognize, like, sometimes if you're walking around with your weapons out, you're prepared for that. But you also look like somebody who's walking around with their weapons out versus walking around with your weapons in their sheaths and then drawing them. Somebody who takes that feat is prepared, much more prepared at any time, and that's one of those things where it like really shines.
So I have this bonus action, which is Planar Warrior, and just says a bonus action, choose one creature. I'll actually...
I lost you after choose one creature.
Sorry, I'm trying to share this to the VTT. Yeah, so this is a bonus action that I have as well. So can I just call this out, and I guess it would apply to next turn, I think?
Yeah, you can do it like that. That's fine.
Okay. And I'll end my turn.
And what would you like to do here, Debbie?
I would like to try to wrestle this thing. So I guess like grapple it.
The Planar Warrior is an action. I'm sorry about that. That's not a bonus.
It has it within my bonus actions in that section of my character sheet. And it says as a bonus action.
All right, word. My apologies there, Debbie.
Oh, no worries. So I'm gonna lunge for the carpet, for the rug, and sort of try to wrestle it, I guess, to the ground.
Is that a grapple you're going for? Is that your goal?
Yes.
Alrighty. Make a grapple check. It's just a strength check. Are you going into a rage before you do this?
I think I might save. I'll save the rage.
Part of why I say it is, well, also you can take a long rest. I see that you are not there yet, so you can take an actual long rest. Part of why I say it is if you are in a rage, you have advantage on strength checks, which is a grapple check. So if you would like to, you can bonus action, go into a rage, and then with your action, have advantage trying to grapple this creature.
Okay. Yep. That seems like a solid combination. So, I'm gonna go into a rage now and dive at the rug. Um, is there anything extra I need to do when I uh, hit the strength check to go into a rage?
I don't think your roll 20 or beyond 20 is set up right now for always roll advantage. So just click twice to roll 2 strength checks.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Actually, 2 athletics checks even. Oh, got me by 1. So as you wrestle it down to the ground, you are going to have a solid grasp on this creature, and it is currently grappled.
Can
Nice.
you describe what the grappled state does to a creature, just game wise?
Grappled means that it loses all of its ability to move. And then other than that, I think that is actually the extent of it before you kind of do other things. Yeah, basically speed just becomes 0.
Cool. So I grappled this thing to the ground, sort of awkwardly intertwined, but it's down. And yeah.
Good work, Debbie.
Excellent, Debbie.
Thank you. Thank you. And I don't think I have any bonus actions, so I think that'll end my
Well, your
turn.
bonus would be the rage, though.
Oh, right.
So I just want to confirm for you. Can you click the long rest button at the top of Debbie's sheet? It'll open up a little sidebar. And then when you click long rest inside of there, it'll turn the button green and do a little countdown. Just click it again while it's green.
Cool.
Bam.
Long
And
rest
then
taken.
make sure to go under your feet and then click that rage so it shows 1 rage being used right now.
All right. So it's just like toggled the little square.
As Debbie leaps into this creature and starts to pull the rug in on herself, you are going to feel as it starts to turn on you and is kind of releasing that like start of a grip onto Rodney, and it is going to grasp down on you, effectively grappling you. So you are both grappled by each other, and each of you has a speed of 0. But you are restrained and blind as it wraps around you, and it is starting to smother you where you can no longer breathe. And it's going to go to Raymond as you see Debbie is now wrapped inside of this rug.
I'm assuming if I tried to hit this rug, she's within it, and I would hit her as well.
She does indeed have a rug around her.
I guess I'm gonna run up and see if I can grab a corner of this thing and try and unroll it, or see if I can get its attention a little bit and get Debbie out.
Really gotten myself into a bind.
Why'd you have to throw me?
I'm sorry.
Well, what should I roll for that if I'm trying to grab it and like unroll Debbie?
You can roll a strength check. Athletics if you have it. So as you start to pull at the corners of this thing, you're going to get to Debbie's head, and she'll be able to breathe for a moment here, but it's not fully releasing this. The creature is still wrapped around her, but it's a good effort to release her. Any bonus action or movement from you?
For my bonus action, I'm going to bless my mace with Searing Smite.
Excellent. And then Hector, what would you like to do?
Hmm. Do I have just time to speak to this creature? To say, release them, foul creature, before I stab you again.
You can certainly try.
Hector readies his short sword, trying to grab a corner to cut away, seeing if he gets any response from this evil carpet.
So that's what you're going for? Release her, foul creature, and then you're just doing readied action for it to attack her. You're going to attack it.
I'm waiting a few seconds. We have about 6 seconds of turn here usually, so I say that. I'm going to wait a few seconds, and I'm ready to swing again and cut at this rug.
Well, what's your trigger, though? You have to pick something as why you're going to attack it.
Well, I'm seeing if this creature can speak in any way or respond to our actions for anything other than wrapping us up like snakes.
All right, just make your attack then. There's no reason to wait. This creature cannot speak. Well, we're just fast forwarding. You're still holding that action, but just do one attack right now.
Get back to my character sheet.
And then Ali, what are you doing? So, Debbie, you are going to take 3 points of piercing damage because you are raging. That is reduced to 1.
If I can, I'd like to fight myself out of this rug, or at least try to, use my strength and everything like that, just to kind of try to find my way out of this rug.
Currently, you are not in danger of the rug. It is wrapped around Debbie.
Oh, sorry. I thought you had said that it had grabbed me as well.
Nope. Had Debbie not thrown herself between the two of you, it would have done this to you.
I'm gonna say, "I'm so sorry, Debbie. I'm so sorry about this. Please, please forgive me." And I'm just gonna just punch this thing as hard as I can. Uh,
So you can make an unarmed strike at it. Dealing one bludgeoning damage to Debbie.
uh, and then I'd cast that planar warrior. I'd like to throw that 1d8 in there as well.
Go for it. And Debbie, you will take 4 force damage.
And then on top of that, I also have the favored foe, so I'm gonna throw in that 1d4 as well.
And Debbie, you will take 2 more. What kind of damage is favored foe?
Uh, it's just basically it's kind of like a magical kind of damage.
Debbie, you will take 2 more damage from favored foe. And then
Stop
Debbie, at
hitting
the
me.
start of your turn, as you are starting to get pummeled by your friends all around you, while it is smothering you, you are going to take another 7 bludgeoning damage because you are raging. That's going to be 3 bludgeoning. And then you can definitely yell out to them to stop hitting you. But it is your turn here. You have disadvantage on attack rolls while you are restrained. You can go reckless and give yourself advantage to get a straight attack at it. You are blind, but that's kind of the same disadvantage as having restrained. So you can get straight attack rolls if you would like, just by going reckless. Other than that, you will be at disadvantage simply to attack right now.
I'm for sure gonna go reckless. Now I'm super pissed off. So
Yeah, my bad. That favored foe is the same type of damage, so that 2 you would have taken from that should be reduced as its bludgeoning damage as well. So I think
yeah.
gain 1 more hit point, Debbie.
Okay.
Did that sound good that you were going to go reckless?
Yes. Yes, for sure.
Excellent. So just make a straight attack here. There's no reason that you can't pull your second weapon. What did you have last time? Which one did you attack with?
The great axe.
All right. So yeah, at this point, just go with the great axe.
All right. So in my fit of rage, I sort of try to burst through the rug with swinging my great axe around, trying to slash through it.
Yeah, that's gonna do it. So does it reduce half of that to you even now? Wow, that's good. Yeah, you're gonna take 7 of that and reduce it to 3.
All right.
And as she cuts out with her great axe, you can see her great axe is bleeding or it's drawn blood. It's going to be a little interesting because she's fighting a carpet that apparently is bleeding, but it's going to become a little bit more apparent to everybody else that the carpet's bleeding because inside of it, Debbie is bleeding. But overall, the carpet is looking, I would assume at this point, much worse than Debbie does. Any bonus action from you, Debbie?
Nope.
Yeah, fun fact about this carpet, once it's got somebody, it does nothing at all, so it's going to go right back around to Raymond.
All right. So I'm gonna cast Toll of the Dead, a cantrip, and I'm gonna point at this thing and kind of just echo, "You hellish carpet," and I'm gonna
It,
curse it and hope that it is. Or let me see here.
it has taken damage, so you can roll with the d12.
D12, you said? Sorry, I'm trying to get this window open.
Well, if you click Toll the Dead, it's going to ask you, has it taken damage or not? but I'm pretty sure it's a D8 or a D12 if it's taking damage.
Gotcha.
But again, I would rather you all actually clicking it on D&D Beyond so it's rolling like everything's set.
Does that work?
Debbie, you are going to take 5 necrotic damage. Yes, it definitely works. Any bonus action from Raymond?
Not at this time. No.
On to Hector.
Hector holds his sword and, becoming concerned, tries to look for this carpet and any weakness or anywhere he can cut it out carefully. He does not attack.
You can make a perception check if you'd like.
Yes, I will do that.
I think at this point you might not know the full extent of it, but at very least, with every physical attack that you are doing and your friends are doing, you are watching this thing injure. Like the physical attacks are injuring Debbie just as much as the creature. So attacking it doesn't work. Not attacking it doesn't work. But you should make a choice pretty soon here how you're going to help her, and that should take us to Ali.
Noticing the same thing as Hector, I'm just more concerned. I'm just like,
You don't know that right now. Like you all can feel a little bit of something. He used an action to know that.
got ya. So noticing the blood on the carpet, it just kind of dawns on me that whatever we're doing isn't probably working, and if anything, we're probably just hurting Debbie even more. So with that said, I think I'm gonna hold back my attack and instead try to help Debbie and see if I can wrestle and pull this carpet off of her.
Gotcha. You can do a athletics. As you're pulling at it, it's almost like starting to thread its fibers like into her flesh and kind of starting to like tear at her flesh as you're trying to pull it away, but it does not seem effective at this point. And then that will go to Debbie. You will take um, 6 more bludgeoning damage, reduced to 3 bludgeoning damage as the carpet tightens down tighter on you.
I have clearly underestimated the decorations.
They need to hire a new interior designer.
Get Property Brothers in here.
What are you thinking here, Debbie? You want out of this thing?
Yeah, I definitely do.
You got an axe in your hand. You already got a little bit of a hole into it. Go reckless again.
All right, here we go.
That 100% should do all the damage to you. I'm not sure how you can miss from within the carpet, but on some level you have managed to. Maybe it kind of releases a little bit of pressure in the places where you're trying to force the axe forward, and overall it just seems ineffectual. is going to go back around to the carpet and right back up to Raymond.
I'm gonna scream, Debbie, I'm very, very sorry about this, and I'm gonna hit the carpet with my mace that has Searing Smite on it.
Cool.
Solid hit. Debbie, you will take 3 bludgeoning damage, and that will be reduced to 1 bludgeoning. Yep, just roll the d6. You can click the pink d6, and it'll roll that. And you'll see as the fire just kind of like singes a few fibers, but otherwise seems ineffectual. And unless you have any movement, it's going to go to Hector.
Hector goes up and says, "Sorry, Debbie," again, and tries to slash aggressively as many fibers as possible up the center of this long carpet.
Given in, it's time to attack it. Are you drawing that second sword, doing 2 attacks?
Hector's tired of this carpet. As soon as Hector saw the carpet going to the skin, Hector wanted to start cutting up pretty ferociously. So he pulled his second sword. And do I do an action? Can that do much?
You should have like 2 different swords. One of them says offhand attack. You just do the first one as a normal. Well, what was your actual question? Do I do an action? My bad.
Really just drawing the sword. So like obviously for the first turn, I totally understand. I was not prepared and I don't have that extra skill. So I
Yeah,
didn't.
there's a free action that you can interact with items, or like you can do things like certain levels of checks and stuff like that. That free action is kind of a floating little bit of thing that you can do. Like if you talk for 6 seconds, that takes up free actions. So yeah, you can definitely draw your second sword once you're past there. That second one though needs to be with the offhand sword. Looks like you did it right. Yep, no modifier on it. So Debbie, you are going to take 3 piercing, reduced to 1, and then 3 piercing, reduced to 1 for a total of 2 more damage. At this point, the carpet is down to like the last like few fibers that are kind of holding on to it, and is starting to be almost like multiple pieces of this rug that's just smothering around Debbie. And you're seeing much more of her flesh and much more of her blood, but the carpet is still tensing in around her and holding her too. What would you like to do, Ollie?
Still not giving up on my friend Debbie. Seeing that this carpet is kind of falling apart, I just grab whatever threads I can put my hands on and just pull as hard as I can, just to try to see if I can rip it from her body.
Go for it. You can do another athletics. Once again, it's holding to just strong enough to be able to prevent you from releasing her from it. Any movement or bonus?
Losing and like not being able to kind of wedge my way between the two, I kind of feel somewhat hopeless, and I just say, "I'm so sorry about this, Debbie," and I'm just gonna go ahead and just slash at it with my blade.
I feel like you have to make your main attack with your actual weapon to be able to use two-handed weapon. So you cannot make an attack this turn. Your action was trying to break her free.
Got ya. Okay.
So, Debbie, start of your turn, you're going to take 13 bludgeoning damage as the carpet's trying its last chance, and that will be reduced to 6 damage. And then what would you like to do?
I guess I'm just gonna give it one more shot with the great axe. It seemed to be did the most damage the first time around. Hopefully, be lucky this time.
12 to hit, 3 to kill. Going reckless?
Of course.
So at this point, Debbie, can you describe to us how you hulk out of this rug that has tried to swarm around you and kill you?
Sure. So, I mean, as the fibers are somehow making their way into my wounds, which is grotesque, I just sort of fling my arms out, slashing wherever I can. And as I bring my axe across, it's going to slash that stupid rug right in half, releasing myself from it. The fibers sort of start to draw back out of my wounds, and then I'm just gonna lie there for a minute.
How is Debbie looking right now, health-wise?
Uh, Debbie's got a solid 5 out of 35 hit points left.
Solid. I don't think anybody else could have not been a dead character getting wound up in that thing.
What a team player.
Yeah, just gonna give Debbie a pat on the back.
Welcome back to the party, Debbie.
Everybody, do not underestimate anything in this place.
I'm so sorry. I really did not want to punch you. I'm so sorry about that. So
But you
sorry.
kept doing it.
And Hector kind of sarcastically says, "Oh, but Strahd gave us such good assurances we would not be harmed here."
Let me get a history check from you all.
This is because I didn't make it to dinner, isn't it?
Every single one of you, except for Hector, as he says that, is going to remember you all were walked over this rug when you came here last night. Rahadin walked you over it. And perhaps the castle is indeed instructed not to hurt you, but you're also supposed to be escorted places.
I just remembered. I did believe that Rahadin asked that we call for him if we were planning on going anywhere. I'm assuming that perhaps we were attacked by this rug because the castle has some kind of malevolence if we're not escorted by one of the people that reside here.
When you say the name Rahadin, as it flows off of your tongue, you're going to hear footsteps coming up the stairs. And about the time that you finish things, you'll hear from down in the corridor behind and to the south of you, Ali. You all have awakened. The master will see you now, if you will follow me.
Rod Dean, do you think you might have a towel nearby? Our friend Debbie here kind of got wrapped up in the decor.
Just with like a look of annoyance on his face, he's going to look past you. That carpet was more valuable than all of your lives combined. The master will be most disappointed to hear that one of his oldest friends is dead. But he otherwise walks away, starts to head back down the stairs, completely ignoring the fact that any of you have any wounds.
I
Poor
have a Pottery
gracious
Barn. I have a Pottery Barn gift card if you like.
So you all are going to walk down one level where you have a view of just a little hall that extends off to the west. and then kind of down through the corridors, another level extending off to the north. And then once you get down to the lowest level, you will be back to the entrance hall, where you see kind of the marble, black and white, almost like chessboard across the ground, with the dining room ahead, and then that actual entrance area with the large pillars into that main kind of corridor where Anastraya was greeting the procession of the dead, and Rahadin will kind of walk you straight past and back into the actual dining room, where you all had met everyone the day before. And as he once again opens the door, you all will see Strahd sitting at the organ and playing some music. And he'll turn back to you, raising his hand to continue the music as he stands up and walks to you all. At this point for breakfast, I think things will be kind of a pretty similar setup. There might be a little bit more sweets, and things like made of sugar, good bit less alcohol on the actual table. But he'll kind of look to you all and, is everybody famished? Would you care to join me for breakfast? Until when he sees Debbie dripping with blood, you're just going to hear a very long, slow inhalation. And it's going to be a very grotesque moment, as you can tell he's taking great pleasure from just the smell of the iron in the air that's dripping from your flesh. Did you have some problems when you woke up?
Yeah, buddy. Had some problems. Do you always sick your rugs on your guests?
My house is prepared to protect what is mine. Both those things that would intrude, as well as those things that would try to escape. And then he's going to look to Rahadin. Did someone attack them while you escorted them? But other than just kind of recanting and Strahd basically seeing no cause to apologize to you, since you all were walking essentially from his point of view, walking where you were not meant to be, he's just going to kind of nod to you, and it's quite unfortunate that my friend had to be sacrificed for such a frivolous thing.
We're so sorry about that. I genuinely apologize. We had totally forgot that Raadin said that we should call him when we were up in and about. We're kind of distracted by some other things, and he kind of just sees that I'm holding on to this pair of pants still. Yeah, I mean, Sinmore and Nesher kind of were caught up in a couple things, and yeah, just got a little distracted. So sorry, so sorry. Um, is there any way we can make it up to you, my lord? We just to show you that we are truly apologetic about your friend.
You don't have to worry too much. I'm sure I can find someone else to inhabit another, to replace the guardian who once held that post. But you all eat, enjoy yourselves. And tell me, where would you have me send you on your way?
So I'm gonna walk into the room and take the same seat I had last night and just sit right next to him and start eating quietly and not say anything.
Gotcha. So anytime you all want to drag your characters to a map, all you have to do is select them by your name, and you can just drag them out to the actual map.
So as I start digging in, enjoying this food, trusting that it's gonna be a while until we get a meal like this again. And just kind of watching Strahd and watching his observation on us, seeing if I can see any insights as to what he has planned for us specifically.
I mean, realistically, there's not necessarily an insight check here. Like, what are you thinking? You're not going to be able to tell his plans, like, from an insight check. If you insight check, I'm not going to have you do a roll. It's that same thing where he's dutifully watching you all, but it's that same level of he's got that creepy pleasure that he's simply enjoying you all eating. Um, Maybe some of you get this feeling kind of like that Hansel and Gretel kind of thing where you all have made the recognition that he could feed on you, and he's fattening you up. But realistically, like, this experience is far more, he's like a creepy voyeur who's just taking pleasure in watching you all right now.
All right, that I'm just going to continue eating, and I'm going to ask him where his all of his brides are, and if they'll be joining us.
Are you so quick to miss Valenta's company? Should I have her come to breakfast?
Please have her come.
Rahadin, call Valenta. Tell her her friend would like to see her one more time. With that, Rahadin will step out of the room, close the doors on you all, and come back shortly here. What's everybody else doing as Raymond is basically just going to town on this setting? You all have pretty much anything that you could imagine. Um, I would say one thing that, like, kind of inciting things would go. You all notice that, like, your favorite dish is on the table already. If there's a particular thing that you call your favorite, like what you enjoy most, your favorite meal that your mother cooked, it's on the table.
I decidedly chose the seat farthest away, but I'm just sort of ripping into a drumstick and glaring right back at him as he's purveying us.
When you look to him, and he's always watching any of you, when you look to him, his eyes are already waiting on you, where he's making eye contact the moment your eyes look up to his. And you have just this creeped out, sneaky suspicion that he's still smelling your blood from here, that he's still fighting this urge. Um, it was only Debbie who took damage there, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, because I did not actually get to attack Rodney. I should have made that a surprise attack so it was just on Rodney, but I think that also would have been a dead Ollie. Yeah, so he's got a little extra focus for you, Debbie. And he's definitely a little bit more centered on, like, fresh flowing blood is controlling him right now. He is controlling it. He's not doing anything hostile, but every single time you look up, it's a very creepy experience.
Got it. So yeah, I mean, I'm still sort of coming down from my rage, so I'm still trying to be a little intimidating, but slowly am getting a little creeped out. And I slouch a little bit more the longer we sort of maintain eye contact.
Ali, Hector, what are y'all doing?
While Hector is enjoying some great breakfast and saying, Strahd, thank you for this great breakfast, but we must be on our way to search for this woman, cautiously saying her name quietly, Tatiana.
Uh, Noticing that there's some medjool dates like on the table, I kind of collect a number of those and kind of just put them in front of me, and definitely put a couple in my pocket too. But also just put together like a bowl of porridge that I notice is there, and look at Hector and say, "Whoa! Before we get too much of a rush, it'd be a shame to let all this food go to waste. I mean, his lordship has been so kind to us since we've gotten here. Um, and I'm still kind of curious. It seems as though there's so much history to this place of Barovia. You being the master of this kingdom for over 500 years, I just couldn't help but to think to myself last night that what was here before you, my lord? Like, what peoples occupied this space before you came and conquered?"
The tales of the dead are left behind. Enemies of my father is all they were, and their memories will be forgotten for eternity.
Oh, your father. And what was his name?
The land wears his name proudly. My father was Lord Barov.
Oh, well, that was very nice of you. You must have
It's gonna
loved your
look
father
back to
deeply.
you. I told you yesterday, do away with the niceties. They are not required here. He named the land when he conquered it with my hand.
I see. Well, there's been one other thing, my lord, that's been kind of stuck on my mind. I feel as though we've been here for what seems like an eternity, but I've never actually seen the sun. I mean, it's morning, right? But there's no light, really. I mean, it seems as just perpetual night here. Just so strange.
You will not. You can get used to it.
So it's always like that then?
And it will always be. So when Rahadin arrives back with Valenta, you can see this is a very like teenage moment of where he's basically dragging her in by her arm and kind of like ushering her into the room, and then he's going to stand like right in front of the actual doors as she's kind of thrown forward to take her seat, and she'll come back up and she'll sit down beside Raymond, and more or less just kind of like staring bullets between Strahd and between Rahadin. And you know what? Between Debbie as well.
So as I'm eating, I'm just gonna kind of ask Valenta uh, if she like, is it her choice to attack me, or are you gonna be? Do you get to choose when to kill me, or is it based on what your father says? And just kind of egg her on and see if she has anything or any control or say in it.
She's gonna look to Strahd. She's gonna look to Debbie. She's gonna look back to you. I was told I wasn't allowed to feed on any of you. But she tastes delicious. And she's going to look back towards Debbie.
Pass the potatoes.
Strahd's going to raise his hand, and the potatoes are just going to levitate over towards you.
Thanks.
So at this point, I don't really want to talk to Valenta too much, and just thinking in my head that I guess it's better to have her here versus somewhere I can't see her.
I feel kind of bad. We invited Valenta, but there's no Ludmilla or Anastraya here. I feel like we're just leaving them left out. I'm sure Sinmorn and Escher are probably still having a good time since they haven't showed up yet.
If you would require the other brides to attend breakfast, I can certainly call them to order.
I just think that that would be probably the best thing to do. I just feel bad leaving them out.
I'm gonna kind of glare at Rodney with the look of like, I think we should get out of here. These people terrify me.
And I'll just say, the least that we could do is just say goodbye to everybody for, such wonderful hospitality that they've shown us.
Hector, hearing Rodney's plan that he really doesn't like, gets up, walks around the table, and sits next to Debbie so that there's a little bit of space between the blood dripping off the chair and the other newcomers.
So, over the next few minutes, the remainder of the brides can be called to order. Everybody will eventually show up, and last of all, Rahadin will be sent to fetch Escher and Sinmorn and bring them back to the actual table. But as they come to the table, do you actually have questions for them, or?
Oh, Ali, do help our guests, as Hector says it almost sarcastically.
I just wanted to say thank you to all you all for, inviting us here to this wonderful castle. We had one idea of, who his lordship was, and we've definitely been impressed. And I just want to thank you for such a lovely stay. Before we head out here, um, there's one thing I was kind of curious about, and that's just Ludmilla. I felt like we didn't really talk to you very much, and it seems as though we've never really heard about where you're from. Where exactly did you come from before you came to Barovia, or are you from Barovia?
I was born among the Vistani.
The Vistani.
She's just going to nod at you in recognition.
And what exactly is the Vistani?
Just nodding over to Strahd. We are the chosen.
Chosen. So, is that chosen by his lordship, or?
When he was betrayed still in life, we were those who saved him. We are the few who can walk through the veil, returning to your lands and gaining what necessities we require in Barovia.
So you're telling me that your people are actually able to leave this place?
That we are.
Well, I hope that we also may gain such an understanding with his lordship, so we also may be able to leave. Um, my lord, we will definitely keep your offer in mind, but I think there is some negotiating we must do between ourselves to decide if that is truly what we want.
Ludmilla is not going to hide anything, and she's going to look to you. Betray your friends, give us the girl, and you can leave these lands. But your friends are dead to you. They will never leave this place alive. And then
Oh,
Valenta is just in front, grinding her teeth. And you can just see she's like ADHD levels of trying to hold her last bit of control.
with that, I'm just going to roll up my napkin and kind of put it on the table. Perhaps we should get going, everybody.
Yep, and I'm kind of trying to mop up the blood with their fine linen napkins, desperately trying to cover it up.
You're gonna watch as, oh man, who's most into that? I feel like Anastraya would kind of very quickly like run over to you and just with a sly little smile where you see her fangs, she's, oh, don't worry about that. I will be most happy to clean this for you. Thank you very much.
No, I'm all good, all good. I kind of like toss the napkin away, hoping she fetches it.
She's already got like a finger in like the blood on the stone, and she just slowly like reaches it to her lips and kind of like rubs it around like she's putting on lipstick and then biting down on her bottom lip. She's just going to smile at you. Estrad's going to look to Rahadin. Rahadin, prepare the carriage and take them where they wish to return. So, any other thoughts while you all are still within Ravenloft?
I think one last thing that I'll actually do before we leave is, after seeing how much Strahd enjoyed like our stories that we were telling and stuff like that, and how I told him about the desert of Zahara and stuff like that. Before we leave, I'm actually gonna give him a gift. I'm gonna actually pull out my flute that I have. And it's like has some very intricate carvings. It's a like a metal flute that's been etched, and it has just like these very like decorative like motifs that kind of go about it. And I would say, my lord, for your hospitality, I would like to give you this, seeing how much you enjoy playing music. And I'll just hand him my flute. It's from my homeland, Zahara. It was actually crafted by the people within my village.
Yeah, so as kind of like an aside here, just to remind you, he would have picked up stories from all of you about where you're from. And in the same way, when you bring this up, he's going to, again, kind of recounting all of the people that you told him about. And make an insight check here.
For Ali or for
Just
everyone?
Ali. And the way he recounts it, you remember people who are herders and the way that they talk about their flock. And when you talk about your village, he's going to recount all of the names of the people that you spoke about in that village, the number of people that you spoke about in that village, almost like how fast they were breeding and like how fast like the cycle of life and death happened in that village. He talks about your home village like it is a flock of sheep. And the only thing that makes him seem more like a predator is the way that he's been looking at Debbie.
So yeah, enjoy that flute. All right, everybody, let's pack things up and get going.
So again, like on this view of how you all will leave through this area, they basically take you back out into that hallway, and Anastraya will pretty much be the only one who actually remains behind. Ludmilla kind of walks up the stairs that you all came from. Escher is, I'm sure, going to spend his last precious moments with Sinmorn. Valenta is going to pretty much just like as soon as she's free to go, she's gone. Strahd will return to the actual organ and remain in this room. But other than that, Anastraya will kind of say that final goodbye to you all from the kind of entry area, and you all are welcome to effectively at this point tell Rahadin where you would like to go.
Before we do, Hector would like to take a look down the hallways and see, do these look like these doors lead to anything? Are there any other rooms inside this castle?
This castle is absolutely massive. You all have seen maybe a fraction, the tiniest fraction of it. From this entry area, you can tell that there is a massive stair that leads off to the north, and then there is a long hall of armored figures that leads off to the east of you. But other than that, that's kind of what you can see at this point.
Thank you.
But when you all were outside of this castle, you know pretty well from its outside view that you've seen maybe 5 or 10%.
Do we wish to return to town? I believe we have business there, Hector says, uh, sliding his head to the side as if suggesting they leave.
I'm going to agree with Hector. I'm going to ask him if we should go to the mayor's house and talk to the brother or to the church or to the group, I should say.
I'm gonna throw this out there, everybody. We should go meet these Vistani people. They've obviously been here for a very long time. If they knew Strahd before he was dead.
What location are these Vistani people? Do we know? We'll obviously be taken somewhere, but do we know which direction? How far from the town, the castle? We might have to return ourselves on foot.
There are Vistani who live just below the Ser Falls, near the pool.
I vote we go back to Barovia.
Let's say the Barovia and then Ali on the return. We can stop at the bottom of this pool, this gorge.
I second whatever gets us out of here right now.
To Barovia it is. And then Hector starts walking out the doors to spur everyone into action.
So once again, as you all basically leave through the main gates of the actual keep, you're going to be inside of this large courtyard. Rahadin is effectively waiting for you all there on the wagon, and you all can hop on inside when you tell him to essentially escort you back to Barovia. You all will start to pass through the actual like outer wall of the keep, where you will see the long road ahead of you and the actual gates of Barovia that you all would be familiar from the first time that you walked through the mist, and saw through the actual gates. The same similar knights, these are not kind of collapsed in the exact same way, but they show the same signs of age, where these tall, magnificent figures are well past both their prime and perhaps the level of care that anybody has ever really shed for them. And because I didn't actually create it as a handout, I'm just going to drop it into Discord. Again, that's kind of what you all see from. Oh, I have to press enter. Um, that's kind of like a view of those knights, how they kind of like overlook the gates that are just to the south end of this slowly winding trail that leads away from the castle itself, as you are basically climbing or like going down the road at the foothills of this mountain, getting closer and closer to where the river. Oh man, I don't have the name of this river on hand. Not that important. We're going to call it the Sayre River because there's Sayre Falls and Sayre Pool. But you guys can start to see the river as you get to that split in the road at the gates, and then he'll start to take you towards that southern area. And this is effectively where he spotted you all. You can see that same part of the bridge that overlooks the Sayre Falls, where he was kind of waiting at the procession and rode all of you all down, and he'll take you over. You'll go through the actual woods for that position. I'm not actually going to show that because nobody has cartographer or calligrapher skills. You'll be able to unlock that in other ways to see how it goes. But a long winding road, you will go past those same gallows where Hector saw himself hanging, and there will be nothing there other than unused gallows, where you all will eventually once again see the bridge over the Sayre River on the way to the village Barovia. And when you cross over, Rahadin will ride into town, and on the outskirts of Barovia, he will kind of pull up into the town square. And as he kind of turns about between Bildras Mercantile and basically like almost with you all kind of in front of Blood on the Vine and the horse pointed towards the Donovich Church, he will stop and looking to you all to step out of the wagon. We'll wait not a moment longer than it takes, for the last of you is probably going to almost stumble with one last foot on the actual like step into the wagon before he starts to head away.
Well, that was fun.
Now we can finally converse in peace and quiet out of these deadly creatures' ears.
I bet they can hear us everywhere.
Strahd probably has spies in this whole town. I thought of deceiving him, but I feel like anyone in this town is loyal to him and him alone.
If we do, we'd have to keep it amongst ourselves and very quiet. Do you want to go talk to the brother of Tatiana?
We are also right near this church, which we have passed up, which I would love to speak to this. If this priest has any knowledge of these undead or what drives them.
We can go to the church. I'd be okay with that.
To the church?
Ali, Debbie, would you like to hear what this priest has to say?
Yes.
I just nod my head.
Go
So,
ahead.
no, I'd rather turn it over to you. What are you thinking, Hector?
Well, as we walk along the fence, Hector tries to, look at those fence and see, are they well kept? Are they neat, or are they overgrown and creepy and not tended to for decades?
All right, so you are broken up like a cliche, like bad like drive-through. Are you talking about the like fence around the cemetery?
As the gravestones, are they well kept or messy, old, and not touched in years?
It's kind of a blend. You can see that there are definitely some ancient stones here, as well as some newer ones. But do a perception check for me. And that's about all you can kind of pick up.
Hector makes his way quickly to the doors of the church and should we knock? says to the party.
I don't see why not. I mean, it is a church, or I guess perhaps we could just walk in. Perhaps we're having service.
Hector listens to the door and sees if he can hear anything inside the church.
Roll another perception. Listening from within, you can kind of hear some sounds of perhaps somebody who's like worshiping in tongues or some such thing. But as far as you can tell, you can hear the sounds of somebody worshiping within.
So Hector slowly opens the door quietly, as not in a stealthy way, but in a respectful way, as they're entering a place of worship.
Everybody following behind.
Yep.
So as you all open these doors, you are kind of looking down a central hall with four doors, two to the west, two to the east, all about maybe like 5 or 10 foot separating between them. To give you this idea, you're basically like a 40-foot hallway, and these rooms might be like 15 or so feet, kind of like top to bottom in that kind of distance. On the far end of the chapel, you do see somebody dressed in priest's vestments, and he is kind of sitting at a pulpit and effectively kind of reading out to the actual congregation. Let me get a group perception check from here. Debbie, almost as soon as the doors are opened, you can hear the sounds from within. Father, Father, feed me, Father. Father, please. Father, feed me. Please, Father. I'm starving, Father, feed me. And you can just see the signs of this priest who's standing in the pulpit. And his eyes are clenching down. And you can see almost his fist is just like a bright red as he's clenching this fist and holding his book that he's reading from in his left hand. What are y'all thinking?
Sort of nudge Ollie, like, hey, you still got some of those dates?
I just pull a couple out of my pocket and hand them over.
Will this creature
As
eat dates or eat nothing at the dinner table like we saw before, Hector says.
As I was handing those dates to Debbie, I'm just like mouthing like, "What the hell is going on here?"
Are you asking the priest if the creature will eat the dates, Hector?
No, no, just like, oh, sorry.
Hector's talking to, kind of quietly at the back of the church, just joking to the party. 'Cause we haven't approached. We're we're still at the very back of the church still.
What if we try to roll a date?
Where are we hearing these noises coming from? Is there some type of cage, or is the priest? Do we see this preacher? We can see the preacher, but not this creature that's hungry.
Yeah, at this point, all you can see is the actual, what looks like a priest standing at the pulpit. And realistically, like when Debbie actually points out the voice to most of you, it's hardly even there. It's definitely her hearing is just a little bit sharper than the rest of you at this point.
I'm gonna walk forward into the room and see if I can see anything more going on.
I'll follow behind Raymond, just looking around the church to see, what's around.
As you all commence further and further into this room before you're eventually in like the main actual chapel, you're just going to see ruined pulpits and nobody's there. And as you get further and further, ruined pulpits and nobody's there, until eventually you get all the way into the actual chapel, and the entire thing is in ruins. This priest is reading to nobody. By the time you're in that actual room, you can hear the sound of what seems to be either one of his parishioners or perhaps his son begging for food, but you don't see where they are.
I think I'm just going to try to get the priest's attention just by giving a loud cough.
Can you drop your characters down, guys?
Once you're close enough that you actually make that effort, you'll see as the priest kind of looks up to you and in kind of just a little snap closes his book. Ah, hello, welcome. Good day to you.
Good day. I'm Ali. This is my adventuring party, not my adventuring party, but the adventuring party that I'm within. Uh, Everybody, introduce yourself.
I
Debbie.
am Hector, a paladin of a god of Kellenvor.
I'm gonna give a fake name. Say I'm Steve.
So he's going to greet you all in turn, introducing himself as Father Donovich and kind of looking at Hector a little weird. Far travelers, who is this Kellenvor you speak of?
There are many gods in different lands. We all have traveled quite far. Kellenvor seems like he has no power in this land. So we come to learn from you what god you worship in this church.
Make a religion check. And Raymond, you can do one as well. Realistically, anybody else who has religion, you could get it, but the two of you are the religious folk. You can already see from his vestments that he bears symbols that, to the Raymond at least, seem very similar to the iconography of Lathander. But as Father Donovich actually starts to speak to you, he's just going to speak to the Morning Lord. Um, and he kind of still is looking a little bit oddly at you all. But on some level, you're going to eventually pick up that when he's speaking about this, there's the Morning Lord and Mother Night. But there are no other gods in this land, unless you consider the devil a god.
And what did you say those symbols were again?
The symbol of Lothander is effectively a rising sun.
Got it.
But
Thank
again, my point is the iconography resembles Lathander. From your point of view, that's all that matters, though. You don't. It's not actually like there's basically the sign of a sun, and then there's darkness. Those are the two gods here: Mother Night and the Morning Lord.
And we hear him call out the Morning Lord, correct?
Yeah, I mean, he bears iconography of the Morning Lord, and he is talking about the Morning Lord. Yes.
It's interesting that you worship a Morning Lord, being as that we have yet to see morning or daylight.
It does not exist here. All are doomed in this land.
So why then pray, my your priest or my father?
Why not take your sword and kill yourself now? Do you have no hope?
I have hope, but it seems as though day by day it becomes less and less apparent.
Day by day, as you lose more hope, you will find stronger reasons to believe in your life.
What power has doomed all in this land? Hector asks.
He is the ancient. He is the land.
Are you speaking of Strad von Zavovich?
Just going to look to him. He is the ancient. He is the land.
And someone must die, Hector says, and points out to the large, the windows of the church for the large cemetery outside.
Father, I smell the blood. Feed me, Father. Let me free. Allow me to feed. Let me feed, Father.
Oh no.
Yeah, definitely jump at that one. Looking around. What in the hell is that?
Debbie, you still think you are standing out in the hallway basically at this point?
No. I've moved in closer a bit.
Gotcha. And I feel like Raymond has already had, like, did you say something already? Or are you out in that hall still?
I haven't said anything yet. I'm gonna kind of walk in and I'm gonna ask where the child is and if it's his.
He is locked within the undercroft. His salvation will be with time.
I'm gonna ask, could he starve to death if he doesn't eat?
Roll a persuasion. don't think you can get worse than that. He's just gonna kind of look to you. My son made poor choices over a year ago to follow a wizard who would rise up against the lord of this land. If he has not starved within a year, he will not starve today.
Is
So
your
it's just
son?
feet.
Go ahead, Raven.
One at a time, yeah.
I'm just gonna ask you. So it's just like a insatiable thing that they need to do, but they don't actually need it to survive.
I fear, without great blessings from the Morning Lord, his condition is permanent.
Well, that sucks.
Tell us more about this Morning Lord. What exactly does the Morning Lord promise? What is the story of the Morning Lord?
Gods have no need to promise anything. They are gods.
Yes, but there must be some kind of religious story behind this god, no?
At some time, there would be a sun that rises, and for many generations it has not. But some of us have faith that a sun will rise again.
Has it been written as an omen?
A light is the destiny of life. It need not be written.
Hector asks, "Does this wizard still live, or has the Lord Strahd banished him to your graveyard under the ground?"
Doru remembers little of his folly. He was the only one that I was able to bring back. I know nothing of any of the others who rose against the land in such a way.
Tell me, Father, has there been any others besides this wizard that have raised their hands or, I guess, conspire against his lordship that you know of?
Return to the church in the middle of the true night, and you will find your answer of all those who have risen against the Dark Lord.
Ah, the procession. Is that what you're speaking of?
They are the souls of all those damned by the devil to walk this land and to never be at rest.
We saw them last night. Perhaps you might be able to tell us why is it exactly that they go to Strahd's castle?
They are commanded to. That is their fate, to rise and to walk to their doom, night after night after night, never finding any rest.
And with this Lord of the Morning, is there any salvation that he can promise these dead? Or, I guess, peace that these dead might be able to pass onto the next life and not be stuck here in this accursed world?
You are all stuck here. You have no peace. We are all doomed to be here forever.
That's hard for me to believe, as we heard it from himself, Strahd, that there's people here. I guess not Strahd, but one of his concubines, that there's people here, the Vistani, that can travel back out of Barovia. Surely there's some way out of this place.
You are Vistani?
We are not, but if
Then
they
you will
are,
die here, and you will remain here for eternity. There is no escape for you. There is no escape for me.
then surely you are the one that has lost hope, Father.
I pray every day for my Lord to rise once again, to return to these lands. All of the people of these lands have forgotten the morning Lord. And I'll kind of like reach out his arms towards like all of the crushed pews and the last like remaining flecks of wood that kind of litter this church. This is my congregation now. It is me in the morning, Lord. There is nothing else. Debbie, Raymond, any thoughts from you two that you want to ask this priest?
No, but I kind of whisper to Raymond, like, I think this guy's kind of a kook.
I agree with you, Debbie. I think this town's probably full of them. We need to keep our head on a swivel.
Yeah, you guys are like inside of this room for minutes, and his son is just begging him for flesh constantly. And you have a solid understanding that he does not believe in his God is like as anything remotely on the level of like how Faerunian people believe in gods, like where you can actually see an avatar in your life, or you could actually be touched by their power. He feels at very best cut off from his God. And at very least, this is a man who spent the last year basically keeping his son locked up, starving, what would sound like to death, but for the fact that he told you he's been doing this for a year. This guy is straight up batshit crazy.
Um, can we hear what direction, now that we've moved into the church, where this cries of the sun exactly coming from? The back of the church or somewhere else?
From that deep in the church, you all are going to recognize that they're coming more through the floor. But I don't think anybody was quite close enough to actually figure out where exactly they're coming from.
So your son's been down there for a year. Was he like this before? Or did something happen and he changed?
He told you all when he took part in like the rise against Strahd. That's what happened.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense.
This is his punishment for rising up. But the father only was able to save his son. Everybody else is, as far as he knows, dead, if not similar. But that was the story with the wizard, that they kind of like joined like the wizard in a bit of a revolt.
Gotcha. I thought for some reason he attacked the wizard and got in trouble, but that makes sense. Like,
Hector looks at the rest of the party and whispers, "Do you wish to explore the rest of this church or the graveyard?"
I think we should leave this man to his own madness.
I don't think we'll find anything here, although I could be wrong.
Regardless of where we go, Debbie, we're not letting you in that basement with a hungry creature and you still recovering and bleeding.
Certainly not one that keeps crying out for flesh.
I agree. Do you guys want to head to the brother?
I'd love
Yes,
to
that or
quickly walk through this graveyard if possible.
also wondering if there might be like some kind of doctor or something in town to see Debbie and heal her wounds.
Also, we could rest somewhere too.
Not a bad
What's
idea.
your intention in the graveyard?
I mean, I really just wanted to walk and see, are any of the names on these headstones familiar or giving us some clues about this land? Are they kind of just countless adventurers, or are they people in the town?
Roll an insight. Looking over the gravestones as you kind of pay attention to the ones that you can still see, they all seem to share pretty similar family names. Going through the graveyard, you probably don't have any reason to think any adventurers are buried here. Everybody kind of follows a pretty typical, like Romanian kind of style of naming, where you're pretty sure this is like the people of the town are buried here.
It seems these souls do not rest. Hector walks around, and so I guess are we kind of doing a quick stop at the graveyard before we head back to town? That's where our characters are.
Well, it's up to you all to tell me where you want to go. So when you want to walk through the graveyard, I mean, at very least, you're walking through it. Is everybody else leaving Hector when he walks through, or
Well, I'll
No, I'll
walk.
join them.
yeah? So everybody would have walked with you, but when you all are finished going through the graveyard, you could head back into town.
Is there? I guess there was one grave that looked unique. I guess there's nothing unique about it, but it was open. That one. Hector wants to look into that grave.
All right, y'all. You like a particular picture is not one thing or the other. In general, had you all done things differently, there's a certain point where there is a need for an open gravestone, but there are no open graves. I will describe to you all what you actually see. Pictures are just visual aids.
Okay, I'm down to leave. Thank you. That just gave me some details. I wanted to really see kind of who was there. That was the most important part.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. You basically find evidence that this is people of the town of Barovia. A lot of last names are quite literally Barov, um, which is essentially to say that they don't have a last name. And other than that, it gives you enough signs to again recognize like the people who are adventurers in this land, they don't get rest. People who are put in graves get rest, but there is no rest in this place.
All right, perhaps we should either go see the mayor or go back to the tavern so that we can get some rest and see to Debbie's wounds.
I'd be down with the rest.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
So let's head back to the tavern then. To Blood on the Vine.
Blood on the Vine. My favorite Coheed and Cambria song.
Oh, holy shit! I have not heard of them in a long time. Yeah, walking into the Blood on the Vine, you all will see the three sisters sitting at that entryway table. And you will see, oh man, what's his name? Artek at the bar. But you all can head on in. What do you have in mind while you are here?
Let's just rest.
Yeah, I would actually let's go up to the sisters. I'll approach the sisters at the table and just ask if they happen to have a vacant room here in the tavern.
I'd like to ask them what they know about the priest while we're here.
So who's asking what, and who's asking first? You asking for the room first?
Yeah, you can ask for the room first.
You will see as the one who cut Debbie's hair will kind of look up to Ali, and she'll say, "Oh, we could certainly provide a room for your group of far travelers, of 5 silver pieces a person."
Sounds like a good deal to me, Ollie.
Good deal, good deal.
If this world is even real, is the money even real?
Nothing is real.
Nothing real. Hector top 5 coins to puts it on the table with the sisters.
What did you put down?
They for 5 silver coins per person, correct?
Gotcha. So if Hector pays for it, the ladies will kind of look to the stairs off to the northeast and kind of point you towards them, and you can take room 3 and find yourselves well rested.
Thank you. I don't quite think that we caught your names last time. I apologize. I'm Ali. This is Hector, Debbie, Raymond, Sinmorn, Edwin. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet all of our travelers. And continuing, the one who cut Debbie's hair will introduce herself as Solvia. And then her sister to kind of the south will kind of nod in, Mirabelle. And then the sister to the kind of northeast will kind of drop her head in a little bow and say, "I am Alenka."
I've been loving the cut, saliva. That's ridiculous.
It looks a little blood-stained. Seems like you are taking to Barovia quite quickly.
Yeah, I would say so. Hey, quick question. What's up with the priest? We sort of had a run in with him a minute ago. He's a little dramatic.
Danovich has tried to deny the truth of the world for a long time. And she's just going to flip a card over onto the table. Let me get a perception from everybody. Debbie, when she flips the card, you're going to see just this figure of a man who's carrying like two reaping scythes for like reaping grain harvests. And instead of being like an actual like figure of a man, you can see as he's kind of like moving forward, and you can see like the action like drawn into the card as he's cutting the grain for harvest. And his head is a white skull, and it just says across the top of it, death.
Wow. Well, what do you guys think of this card? You see, it's the Reaper with the white skull. Is that like the platinum skull that one of the concubines had? Any connection?
Are you saying that out loud?
Yes.
Who have met Valenta so early in your travels? Is that.
Yeah, we've been around.
And she's just gonna kind of like reach up her finger to kind of like see over towards your neck. You have fared well for one who has seen her so early.
Yeah, this was just a rug, if you can believe that.
Bad taste in decor. I'm curious, these cards that you're using, are they game cards or do they, I've seen this in other places, do you happen to tell fortunes?
All Vistani women have the power to read the future.
So you're Vistani. We've heard of you. Um, His lordship told us about the Vistani. And so tell me, can you tell me more, I guess, about your people? We've heard so much, such as they once helped the Lord himself and saved him some sort of way.
A small group of our people indeed did once have the pleasure to save the Lord.
So tell me, could you actually read our fortune?
I could certainly try. There are many futures ahead for many people. I have a strong sense, but we also have one who is among the most powerful of our kind. Madame Eva perhaps might be the one that you are searching for if you truly desire to see the future ahead of you. My sisters and I, we work on far shorter strands of possible futures.
And this Madame Eva, where would we find her?
Our people rest beneath Ser Falls if you take the road to the north as you pass by the gallows, you will walk into the forest, and if you track the footsteps carefully, find your way to our camp beneath the pool of the Great Falls.
Thank you for this information. Tell me, has Barovia always been this way? So dark, so desperate?
For many generations, this has been Barovia.
And before his lordship was here, who was it exactly ruled this realm?
Those who are dead to be forgotten should not be spoken of.
I apologize.
The Lord, the land, the ancient. Wipe them off of the face of the earth. Other than the Vistani, there are none here who remain from before.
I think I'm just gonna walk back over to the group, and I would like to whisper to them and just see, or I guess, yeah, kind of just talk to them and say, hey, do you guys want to go upstairs or grab a couple of drinks and talk about, what we've learned so far?
I'm always down for a good drink.
Yeah, let's get some champagne.
I don't think my budget can afford another one. I'm gonna have to go for the bottom barrel this time.
True, true.
Actually, I have an idea. Excuse me, uh, we came upon some very valuable jewelry. Would you women happen to know of a possible somebody that might be interested in this jewelry and would be willing to offer a fair price for it?
What are your thoughts on fair?
Well, certainly not what Bildrath was offering. Try to give us $50 for something I know is much more valuable than that, or 50 gold for something that's much more valuable than that.
50 coin is a reasonable offer. He could have killed you and taken it.
Or we could have killed him and taken what we want from his mercantile.
You might also find he has very little to offer.
Is there anywhere else that I guess sells and trades goods here besides Bildrath?
She'll look to you and she'll say, I will pay you 80 gold coins for that object.
Well, I'll have to defer here to my friend Raymond.
I'm gonna pull out the platinum topaz pendant and present it to her.
So you're taking that?
How much was it? Sorry, I missed that part.
80 gold. She's basically offering you a little bit more than 10%.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I thought she was just trying to evaluate it. No, I'm going to have to pass.
That's quite unfortunate. It's a beautiful piece. I'm sure in water deep I could fetch quite a pretty penny for it.
Where is Waters Deep at?
Is that not where you all come from? You still stink of it.
Do you know how to get out of here and get back to there without Strahd knowing?
Of course, we travel there regularly.
Do you take anyone else out, or do you have to be one of you?
She is going to reach into her cloak, and you'll hear like a jingle of a little bit of glass. And she's going to pull out 3 bottles and set them down on the table. For 5 gold apiece, I can sell you these potions. They will allow one of you to be able to walk through the mist unharmed, and after an hour, you will find yourselves returned, perhaps, to the land of your choice. But on the other side of the mist, regardless of what realm you finish yourselves in.
I think I'm going to take that deal. I'll pay 5 gold for that potion.
So you will, you can just write down 1 Vistani potion of the mist. Um, Anybody else want to buy one?
I'll buy one.
Sure.
So you as well, and then Hector can get the 3rd one. And while she is finishing this all, she is going to be kind of finishing up a little 5-card deal. And as she kind of like looks things over, she's just going to kind of giggling to herself a little bit, look to you all, and you have quite the future ahead of you, it seems. Interesting. Um, and she's not really going to go into an explanation of what these mean, but she's going to look over the cards as she kind of like remarks to you all, making little snippets at you almost, kind of laughing at you at times where it feels almost like offensive. And at other times, she's kind of going to seem almost concerned. But it's a weird little moment as she's kind of like creepily looking back and forth between you all in the cards. Any further thoughts? Any questions right now?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Could you repeat what she said about the cards?
Well, that's what I mean. She's not actually explaining them to you. She's dealing those cards out onto the table and then almost like looking back over the group and kind of like laughing at you with some of them. She seems like almost concerned at other points, but like she's got this spread before her and is more or less kind of like snickering like an inside joke with her sisters right now.
What are you seeing in these cards? What's so funny?
A future of thieves and healing berserkers and death, all locked beneath the Raven and the Temptress. You all have quite a future ahead of you.
I'm not quite sure how to interpret that, but it could be good or bad.
If you would part yourself from another 10 gold, perhaps I could share a little bit more information. Or, if you are running out of coin, I can take that pendant off your hands and I give you 65 gold and an explanation of the reading.
Would you
If
trade
she
for any?
wants this pendant, it's obviously valuable.
Yeah, I don't. Would you have any interest in any rings?
That pendant is most certainly quite valuable. In the right land where people are not doomed to die beneath the lord of that land, it could fetch 600 to 800 gold quite easily. But in this land, who has need for jewelry when death is ready to feed it any neck? And she's just like tapping the right card where it says seer and just kind of looking at you. She's just rhythmically tapping her hand on the cards. Oh, what rings do you have, my friend?
Who was it? Sinmorn that had those rings, or who got those?
I think they were split up. I can't remember exactly who got them. It might have been Edwin and Sinmore. Oh, I definitely gave one to Hector. I remember that for sure.
What did you give Ali?
I gave you a gold ring for saving me from that pit.
Yeah, don't see it on Edwin. I'll check Sinmore in a second.
I've been keeping notes in the timeline here, but I haven't been too good about updating my items.
Yeah, you all got to stay on top of that. If you don't have it on your person and I can't find it in my notes, you all don't have it.
I've seen these barroom tricks before. Who knows if this reading? Do you think this reading will be valuable, or are we getting swindled?
I smell a
All three
swindler.
sisters are going to giggle and laugh at you. It would
I'm
be
not
a
interested
shame
in.
to be swindled. What's everybody thinking here? Do you vaguely remember what rings those were? Were they 50 gold rings from that same spot where you got the necklace from the pendant?
Uh, yeah, so these were the gold rings that we got. I know I had one that I gave to Hector because that was the one that
Got a message right here. Okay. 11 gold, 62 silver pieces. Massa Gates. Oh, sorry, not that. That's not it.
I know they were worth 50 gold pieces each. At least that's what the valuation was for them when they were handed over.
There were what, 2 or 3 of them?
Uh, we
25
found,
gold pieces. And there should have been 3 of them.
yeah, there was 3 of them because there was one that we found down in the dungeon and then 2 that were upstairs when I looked through that jewelry.
I feel like Debbie found one in the dungeon. I don't think it was as valuable. From the actual cultist corpse.
That's right.
Oh
She
yeah,
did.
from the robe. Yeah, the 25 gold ring. I don't know. What are we gonna learn here? Do we think it's worth it?
Frankly, Hector wants to go to sleep and go meet the other people of the town.
Yeah, I think that
Uh,
was effectively the same ring. So you all probably have 4 of those 25 gold rings right now.
yeah, I think we can come back to the fortune telling if we want in the future. I mean, I have no interest, I suppose, in paying to hear what she has to say. Especially knowing that there's like a really good fortune teller that they told us that we should seek out.
Yeah, I'd shell out for that probably.
Madame Eve is old and wise. She will not charge you.
I suppose there's one thing I would like to ask before we go upstairs, or before I go upstairs anyway. The rest of you may do what you wish, but do you happen to know, you know, is there anywhere we might be able to find work here in the town?
There is always a need for graves to be dug, dead to be cared for. Or you can work for the Count. He is always in need of more bodies.
And I'm assuming those would be the bodies of far travelers?
They would be your bodies that are indeed far travelers.
Ah, yes, I would love to hold on to my body while making an earning.
There is always one who has that choice. One of the other sisters is going to flip over another card, and it's going to be a 1 of discs. And you just see as there's just a single emblem on this card that just looks like a golden coin. And as she does it, Alenka is just going to kind of rotate her finger out around the outside of the coin. Always one.
You know what they say, one is the loneliest number.
Your friends will find death far more lonely. Take solace. And she's going to make eye contact with essentially all 6 of you. Just as she says this, taking a moment to stare into each of your eyes. You can kind of tell when she's making contact, she's trying to see which one it might be who betrays the rest to keep life when all of their friends are doomed.
So I'm gonna ask them if they know about Sifia or Tatiana.
Roll a persuasion. Have you seen where the Lord's bride is? You named her Sophia? Where is she? There's no harm in telling us. You know where she is? Tell us.
We're looking for her. Are you looking for her as well?
The Lord is always looking. One can please the Lord, or one can anger the Lord. If he is looking, you would do well to look for him.
If you found her, what would you do? Would you please the Lord or anger him?
Those who are alive in Barovia have never angered the Lord before. One of the other sisters is just going to look to you. Tell us. Tell us where she is. Tell us where you last saw her. Where is the Lord's bride?
What's it worth to you?
Going to flip over a card. She sees the Queen of Swords. Hmm. She rides on the wind. With the power of the earth in her grasp. She's in Barovia. She will be fleeing. She has nowhere to run. Tell us where she is. Tell us. Tell us. Tell us. And you can see that she's starting to cast like some sort of hypnotizing spell over Raymond. Just keeping your eye contact, making you feel a little bit drowsy. And you can just hear as her lips stop moving in your ears. Tell us. Tell us. And it just kind of echoes and fades. And it's almost like it's like slowly massaging through your ears and into your brain. And you can feel as she's trying to search your mind. Roll the wisdom saving throw for me, Raymond. So as it kind of like connects, she's starting to kind of feel into like your initial thoughts. And you can tell that at this point, if you actually think about anything about her, she's going to gain access to it. And as that sensation becomes a little bit more steady, you're able to focus your thoughts. And you can feel like the moment where you kind of like snap that hold. And your energy kind of returns. You're not drowsed or kind of under that little bit of a hypnotizing spell anymore. And she just looks to you and with a wry smirk to her face, she's going to flip over another card and she only has so far to run with her father so freshly dead.
I'm gonna tell her I don't really appreciate that. I felt really strange. And what do you mean that her father is dead?
She's just going to kind of smirk to you. Can you all think of anybody who has a father who is freshly dead?
Be the mayor. Strahd told us that his dad like had a heart attack or something.
That's right. Yep.
So I think by now you all should have some level of recognition that these ladies are definitely not allies. They may not be hostile to you, but they should not be allies. They most certainly work for Strahd. Um, at very least, as like non-combatants who don't try to stop him, but in her very statement, none who are alive who anger the land. You all should recognize that these people don't do anything that might piss off Strahd. So I'm not sure how far you all want to continue this conversation with the sisters, but they are prying into you all to try to gain knowledge about where Sophia is, where Tatiana is.
I think it's about time to boogie.
Agreed. I'm getting tired.
Hector had been nodding off after those drinks, and in real life, it's been a long week as well.
I am both nodding off in game and out of game. This is as good as time as ever to essentially give it the end here. You all can kind of wrap up Barovia probably in next session, and probably be along your way forward with things. But I assume that you will be checking in with Ismark, the burgomaster of Barovia, at this point.
Yes, and there's another music that I believe we heard in a building nearby too. I'd love to check out.
Gotcha. Yeah, when you all walk past, um, I think I said last session where I like had the actual mapping correctly, like drawn up when I first walked you all through here. But you are basically on the north side of the square, and I think I had Bildrath's and Blood on the Vine switched for that. But when you all walk by Bildrath's, you will recognize that the screaming is coming from somewhere south of that building. But again, I feel like you all got a hefty load of the backstory for having not actually met up with Sophia at this point. You all probably know a lot more than you might actually recognize at present. You've got a lot of connecting the dots kind of stuff where the dots are there. You just have to start to recognize them. But I hope you all had a wonderful time here. I am really, really stoked that nobody died in Ravenloft, because one of the things that I was laughing about with some of my other people was just this idea of level threes walking through Ravenloft unattended. I thought that was the most hilarious joke, and I definitely had other DMs who were like, "That's awfully cruel of you." I'm like, I didn't want to railroad them. I thought it was cool that their initial thought. I've never had anybody who's like, "Oh, the procession of the dead? Yeah, let's follow it." Rahadin's telling us we have to come to dinner? Yeah, let's go.
We didn't want to be
Let
rude.
alone let alone anybody actually sleep with one of the vampires. That was absolutely fucking hilarious.
That was really funny. Just like the intro to that whole thing was hilarious.
We move fast and have an ogre that can take a lot of hits.
I'm also wondering if Sinmorn, when they return, They're gonna have their pants. They're
Yeah,
just gonna be going this whole time.
I don't know if Raymond dropped those when we were chopping up the carpet. We might have chopped up some of the pants as well.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely on a weird level of when Theo gets back, we'll be able to ask them and say, "Hey, when you lost your pants and they got stolen, did you actually care?" It would not be the first bard that I have had going on adventures without pants on. Yeah, bards are definitely a very unique person, and for a game that I don't necessarily like play NPCs as having like a big kind of sexual bent to them. As far as like you guys are probably picking up pretty quickly here, this is a place where everybody's like, "Oh my god!" They wake up, open their eyes, and they're like, "Holy fuck! I didn't die last night. I'm gonna die today." And like that's the extent of their lives. Um, Pretty low birth rates here, let alone like the all the shit that you will eventually find out is wrong with them. But like bards are just one of those things like you can't stop people from. And like paladins are charismatic, sorcerers are charismatic, but something about bards. If somebody wants to play a bard, they're gonna try to fuck everything.
Definitely a typecast that is correct and true.